This is LANTEC's Video Interface Edition 12, in which I'll be talking to Digital about their Pentium-powered PCs.
I shall be bringing you LANTEC's industry update, with another first for video interface by using an ISDN video call to speak to Graham Allen of Novell.
I shall be talking with Compaq about their new rack-mounted server systems, and I shall be previewing an innovative British software product. So here's the stop frame index. If your VCR has a minutes and seconds counter, you might like to reset it now. Welcome to LANTEC's Video Interface Edition 12. Thanks for all the feedback to Edition 11. You clearly like it when video interface gets out and about, so we'll try and do it more often for you. In the end credits of the last edition, we included some new internet and CompuServe email addresses for contacting video interface. I'm not sure everybody watches quite that far, so we'd like to bring them to your attention again now. Hit the pause button if you'd like to take them down. We'd be pleased to hear from you. First up this time, Michael Wade.
Over a year ago, we showed on Video Interface one of the first Pentium-powered PCs. Now that Pentium is well established, we thought it was time to ask the question, do we really need Pentium power on the desktop? To answer that question, and to talk about Digital's Pentium offering, we've invited along Robin Schuff, the PC Product Manager at Digital UK. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you very much, Michael. Nice to be here.
Robin, do we need Pentium power on our desks?
Do we need Pentium on our desktops? Well, it's clear that not everybody today needs a Pentium processor in the PC that's on their desktop, but it is very true to say that the applications that people are using and the increasing importance on getting data from many sources, combining it and producing very complex documents, images, video capture, all this sort of thing, leads us on to say that something like 1 in 5 of the PCs that we sell now onto the desktop is actually using a Pentium processor.
Robin, you mentioned video capture. Makes me think about multimedia. Do we need Pentium power for multimedia on our desktop?
I think Pentiums used with multimedia are an ideal combination, particularly when you think of probably a year from now, most people will expect to have a live video window on the PC, on their desktop, as part of their applications.
All right, so will they then need VESA local bus or PCI? Are these important as well?
Now that's a very interesting topic because there are several buses out there today. I mean, if we think back to the original bus, we've got ISA, we've got eISA, we've got VESA, we've got PCI. Very confusing. What should a customer look for? Well, in reality, if they're looking for something that has got long life and the best long-term investment for them, then it must be the PCI bus. It gives you the biggest bandwidth and the greatest opportunity for future enhancements in terms of the products that will come over the next 12 to 18 months.
And of course, it's no accident that the Celebris Digital's Pentium-powered PCs are Pentium and PCI bus.
No accident indeed, Michael. It's a very deliberate move that you see a Celebris in front of you with a Pentium 90 MHz processor just here, and indeed down here 2 PCI slots. Now, what we believe is, from research with our customers, we knew that the right combination to put inside the box, the thing that customers were asking for, was clearly Pentium and PCI. In fact, we've also included ISA, so this is a combination PCI ISA machine, which allows people to use old legacy boards, such as perhaps an old Sound Blaster card that they've had for a couple of years. They want to include it in this machine, fine, they can do. They can use ISA slots for that. But the next generation cards that they're probably going to buy will be PCI. PCI, because it gives them the optimum choice in terms of performance combination, really gives the Pentium a fair crack at the whip in terms of getting the best performance out of the chip on that PCI bus.
All right, so what else distinguishes the Celebris from other Pentium PCs on the market?
Well, there's several options that we've put inside the box. You can see, for one thing here, the way in which the box opens up very easily to give you access to the whole motherboard, to storage bays inside the box, so it's very easy to upgrade. We've also included things like plug and play, which we feel is clearly very important for the future.
All right, but hang on, plug and play is another one of those terms that we hear bandied around.
Indeed.
What does plug and play mean to you?
Plug and play really requires 3 things to happen before it absolutely hits the market in a very big way. First of all, hardware vendors like Digital must provide PC platforms with a plug and play BIOS built in. This machine has exactly that. Second point, vendors of products like network cards, video cards, SCSI cards, all these sort of add-on cards that you put inside these expansion slots need to be capable of supporting a plug-and-play BIOS on the base machine. And third point, we need an operating system such as Chicago, or we should refer to it now as Windows 95 perhaps, ready to make use of that plug-and-play environment. Now, what that gives the end user is a product which, when they want to add another card or device to their machine, they can simply plug it in and they're not faced with that horrible scenario where they power it up and the thing no longer works because it's got conflict of interrupts, conflict of addresses on the PC bus. Plug and play makes it all nice and easy. The machine sorts itself out.
All right, so you're going to maintain, obviously, that Digital have brought to market a Pentium-powered PC with PCI, with plug and play, with all these features, which means that the purchaser is protecting his investment for the future. Fine, but Digital Equipment Corporation Limited is a vast worldwide organisation who are in some difficulty, aren't they really, Robin? That's the problem.
No. The bank account is in an excellent state, and I expect us to see us return to full profitability in our current financial year. What I would say is the PC business unit within Digital is doing exceptionally well. For example, in the UK, we find ourselves now in number 9 position. Our aim is to get into the top 5 by the end of 1995, and we're certainly on track to do that right now. And I would say that the rest of Digital is looking to the PC business unit as somewhat of a role model in the fact that we've really got our act together in the way that we know we have to do business. And the way that we do business is simply stick to what you're good at doing. We believe we're very good at producing PCs in large volumes and distributing them through the indirect channel, through partners like yourselves, to actually get those products to the end user.
All right, and did I hear something about a new manufacturing plant? Is that on the cards for the next half year?
Very much so. Today, we have 3 manufacturing plants that produce PCs for us throughout the world, one in Asia, one in the States, and one in Europe. And the one in Europe that feeds the whole of the European market for digital PCs is based at Ayr in Scotland. And what we're just about to do is in mid-November, we will move our PC manufacturing for Europe to a completely new plant just down the road from Ayr, based at Irving. It's about 15 miles away. And all PCs for Europe will then be produced from that plant.
Don't tell me there's going to be an interruption of supply.
I knew you'd say that. No, there won't be an interruption of supply. I can guarantee you that. That's very important for our resellers, that we keep the pipeline full of products. And indeed, we've got very good plans in place to make that a smooth switch over from Ayr down the road to Irving.
All right. And other plans? Notebooks?
Well, it's now getting into the silly season for product announcements. Once you get to October through to about April, that is clearly the peak buying period in the UK for PCs. And indeed, we've made our first announcement in September with Celebris, as you see here. The next set of announcements is not very far away. Our customers have only got to wait until next month. And we will then see the emergence, late autumn timeframe, of both notebooks and some very high performance servers from us.
All right, so are you going to give us any clues now about, say, the servers? Just between you and me, what's going to be in the new server?
No, you're going to have to wait until just a month or so away, and we'll start telling you some more information then.
Will you come back and talk to us about it, Robin?
I'd be more than happy to. I'd be delighted to.
Robin, thanks very much.
Thank you.
There's a British company competing successfully in a worldwide software market. With close to 75,000 users in every corner of the globe, Pixel Innovations have developed a product of leading-edge technology. So the question, obviously, is what niche is it that they found? Here to answer the question is Francis Carden, Managing Director and Co-founder of Pixel. Welcome, Francis.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Francis, the question is, what is the product?
Well, the product is an interesting name. It's a product called Termite, and it's a terminal emulation product for PCs.
Right. Is there still a very large need for terminal emulators?
Yes, there is. A large number of organisations today are buying PCs instead of dumb terminals to run their host applications. And actually the market is worth in excess of £500 million a year.
Really?
To give you an idea.
If there are still all these host applications around, why don't people still just buy dumb terminals?
Well, a number of reasons, but one of the major ones is that users today are getting PCs on their desktop to have a lot more power on their desktop to run applications like Excel and Word. And so obviously they don't want a terminal there as well. And so by making that PC emulate a dumb terminal, the user then has one common user interface to all his applications, his PC applications and his host applications.
Right. But a terminal emulator, to me, frankly, is still just a terminal emulator. What is it about Termite that is so radically different that's winning you this market share?
Okay, again, there are a number of things that actually make us stand out, if you like, from everybody else. One of the major elements is that we've always concentrating on being a very easy to use product. We see end users of host applications really requiring a simple, easy to use front end to the application just as they've always had. So we've provided new graphical user environments to make the product very intuitive and very easy to use. Another main area that we've added is that because there are a lot of terminals out there, we've had to provide exact emulation for all those terminals, and we support in excess of 25 different manufacturers' terminal products. Equally, over the last 5 years, there's been a proliferation of different network topologies that have been installed in different sites, whether they're running TCP/IP or Novell or LANTEC or a number of networks. Termite supports over 20 different network topologies to run those applications. So if you combine that with the number of emulations and the number of networks we support, you can almost take Termite into any installation and run the host legacy application.
Okay. The thing that interests me is that you mentioned just now the fact that you can make a graphical user interface out of what to me has been a fairly boring green screen in the past. Is this absolutely true?
Absolutely, and one of the other sides of Termite, as well as selling it cleanly as a terminal emulation product to run the legacy application as it stands today, with a nice common user interface, we provided tools for the developer and the end user to enable them to take their host-based applications and to start improving the user interface. Whether it's a user choice to improve the user interface by adding color perhaps to the application, or whether in fact it's the developer who starts changing the host application, slight modifications to the host application to provide brand new user interfaces that users expect. They're running their applications on a PC today and they look fantastic. They look all GUI with wonderful user interfaces.
Indeed.
And Termite now provides the tools for the developer to start providing that to the host legacy applications.
Right. Well, we have a PC on the desk here and indeed another one just behind us which is acting as a host. This is the sort of screen which I'm used to seeing from a host computer or host system. What can Termite do with this?
Okay, let me show you. What we're looking at here is a copy of Termite that's running, as you say, talking to the host behind us. Let me just show you a couple of configuration screens to show you the intuitiveness of the product and the functionality of the product.
Okay.
The first thing you'll see is that we have a nice, easy to use network configuration. And here, this is the list of the networks that we support.
Right.
A wide range of networks over an even wider range of emulations.
Yes, indeed.
As far as the user interface goes, we can take this application. As you can see, it is a standard traditional application. We can pull up a record, and that gets read from the host in the normal way.
Yeah, it's a very familiar sort of
Very familiar.
interface, yes.
But let me show you another application, which is almost unbelievable that it's actually running off the host. So this is the sort of style that we're now talking about.
That looks very different, yes. And this is just Termite on top of a similar sort of application as the one that we've just seen.
Absolutely, and the legacy application, the host application has been amended to actually use the facilities that are available in Termite to provide new graphical user interfaces to those legacy applications. We also have DDE. We can take information from the host application, take it down into virtually any Windows or desktop product. And we can bring the information back again as well. The host developer can actually request information from Excel spreadsheets or from Word documents and so forth. Going back to the intuitiveness, you have access to the online help through standard bubbles.
Nice.
So it just makes the whole product becomes easier to use. Termite is, now the host developer at last has the facility to access all these tools from the host application so that the end user then starts seeing all the applications in one seamless environment under Termite.
I think it's just worth reiterating for the MIS people out there that there's no compromise on security of the host data or anything of that nature.
Very much, Steve. If you go to a client-server environment and you move your applications down to a PC, all those issues start becoming a major factor. Here you're seeing Termite as a terminal emulator, as an intelligent terminal emulator, providing all the tools in exactly the same way as a terminal would provide them. It's just that they're far more superior and exactly as you started off your opening talk, leading edge.
Indeed. I can see that Termite will make a a lot of sense for a lot of corporate developers that would like their users to use applications like this because it's clearly what they're now familiar with, but don't want to rewrite everything in a new language.
And the major issue for us is that the existing applications will run unchanged. You don't have to make use of these facilities. Everything comes in the one product. If you want to start making use of them, you can.
Francis Carton, thank you very much for joining us today.
Pleasure, Steve.
Termite is clearly a great application for corporates with a need to go GUI, but without spending a lot of time, money and effort on rewriting applications. Now, if you have Unix, mini or mainframe systems that you feel could do with updating, LANTEC will be pleased to organise you a full evaluation copy of Termite, which, by the way, runs in DOS, Windows and Windows 95. Use the reply paid card. Just put on it your name, your company name and the word Termite. We'll know what you mean and we'll make sure that you get a full working copy. Now, with a groundbreaking industry update, here's Alison Ball.
Hello again. From this edition of Industry Update onwards, we're incorporating a customer suggestion. You will often see captions containing more information during particular news items. We realise there is too much to read quickly, so when you see this symbol at the bottom of your screen page, you can of course hit the pause button to stop and read the details. There is a lot going on at the moment and much to tell you. Let's start with Novell, who have been in the computer industry press a lot in the last week with news of the potential sell-off of Novell DOS and the Appware Foundation. On the line from Novell House in Bracknell is Graham Allen, Novell's UK Director of Brand Management. Firstly, we've had reports of Novell continuing to sell and support Novell DOS but not developing it any further. But we've also heard it's up for sale, which is true.
Well, in essence, Alison, both would probably be true. We have made a significant statement that the Novell DOS 7 operating system is something we will not be developing further. We will support and maintain existing customers with this product in the market, but we have made a statement that we are exiting the desktop operating system business. That means Office desktops. We are still totally committed to the UnixWare Personal Edition down on the desktop or the workstation level, but that's focused on vertical markets. So the Novell DOS operating system does not have a future from a product development standpoint, but will be supported and maintained.
Ray Norder's plan for Novell was to compete with Microsoft on every level. Does the dropping of Novell DOS signify an end to this attitude in general?
Well, I think it's been widely reported that our new CEO and chairman, Robert Frankenberg, has actually met Mr. Bill Gates on a number of occasions now. And I think this does reflect a change in the way our organisations are working. Ray Norder always did state very clearly that his philosophy was one of co-opetition, which is a combination of competition and cooperation. That will certainly continue with Microsoft as with others, but I think you will recognise that at the desktop environment, current and future releases of Microsoft desktop products will come firmly NetWare ready and able to run and connect to NetWare networks wherever they happen to be. That's with current Windows products as well as the Windows 95 product.
We're also hearing about SuperNOS. Can you give us a 30-second definition, please?
Very difficult, obviously, because it's a SuperNOS. Quite simply, both the NetWare product group and the Unix product group have been working on microkernel technology for a number of years now. Our intention is to basically converge those two technologies around a single microkernel, which during the 1996-1997 timeframe, you will see a single network operating system product appearing based around a single microkernel that can then have a NetWare or Unix personality, so that both varieties of operating system can run at the same time concurrently on a single machine. So it's bringing the best of both worlds more closely together than they currently are.
Graham, thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
With the impending launch of SmartSuite 3, Lotus have launched a new test drive programme. You can evaluate 5 free licences for SmartSuite 3. If you are a corporate customer with more than 200 PCs or more than 100 word processing users, and you are not using SmartSuite at the moment, talk with your LANTEC account manager to be nominated. We have also received news from Microsoft of changes to MOLP, MELP and MVLP licensing. The details need to be discussed to be understood, so call your LANTEC account manager if you need advice. Be aware that both Microsoft and IBM have now withdrawn support for DOS versions prior to 6.0. If you're using version 5.0 or older, and the ramifications of using an unsupported operating system are of concern to you, now is the time you should be talking with your LANTEC account manager about upgrading. Hayes have announced their first PCM CIA product. We've waited a while for this to arrive, but this 14.4 modem card is fully featured, with V42-bit data compression and V42 error control. The modem features automatic feature negotiation to handle all the speed, error control and compression decisions for you. It comes with both communications and fax software, and at an RRP of less than £300. Call your LANTEC account manager for corporate pricing. Also from Hayes is the Hayes Smart Modem Optima 2.88 VFC Plus Fax Value Pack. These product titles don't get any easier. The offer consists of 2 smart modems, 2 Hayes ESP communications accelerator cards, 2 copies of SmartCom fax and SmartCom for Windows, a 30-day trial subscription to CompuServe, an extension to the Hayes warranty from 2 to 5 years, and a free modem upgrade to V34 when it becomes available. The RRP is £825, but again, call your LANTEC account manager for corporate pricing. By the time you watch this video, IBM should have announced the new version of OS 2. Codenamed Warp, during beta testing, the product promises to improve performance and to run in 4MB of RAM, though 6 to 8 is recommended. It is delivered on 2 CDs and features multimedia support. The big attraction, though, is that with the £69 operating system comes £1,000 worth of free application software. This includes Person-to-Person, IBM Works, FaxWorks, and in an attempt to get ahead of Microsoft, CompuServe and Internet access straight out of the box. IBM clearly see a window of opportunity, and the pun is intentional, with Chicago, or Windows 95 as we should now call it, being delayed until next year. IBM have also announced a new consumer range of PCs dubbed the Aptiva. The positioning of these products is clearly shown by the fact that IBM chose the Home Technology exhibition, Live 94, as their launch site. Some of the new PCs incorporate voice recognition, TV and hi-fi capability and multimedia. At the same time, Compaq have announced a new range of consumer products, mostly based on AMD processors. This is the first time Compaq has strayed from Intel CPUs. There are also a number of new Toshiba portable PCs, and Toshiba have launched a portable battery-operated CD-ROM drive. There are some price changes and a new optional extended warranty scheme. If you would like more information on these or any other products, give your LANTEC account manager a call. Microsoft have launched the IntelliPoint software to go with their mouse too, thus helping the user by adding such features as Smart Speed, which slows the pointer down as it passes over icons and buttons and is really extremely useful. Shortcuts, which can assign actions to the right or both mouse buttons, Vanish, which makes the mouse pointer disappear when the keyboard is being used, and Focus, which can select any Windows icon simply by moving the mouse over it. That's just a brief description of the software, which really does make life easier for users. And finally, we bring you news of the launch of the Microsoft Natural Keyboard. It is described as having been responsibly designed for comfort and made to simplify Windows. It's a strange looking product, but Microsoft don't have a reputation for putting development work into losers, so we'll see what happens. Like the mouse, there's also some special driver software to go with the new keyboard. IntelliType includes such features as changing the key locks on startup, adjusting the speed of cursor blink, adding sounds to keyboard actions, and controlling the mouse pointer from the numeric keypad. LANTEC will be evaluating the product over the next few weeks and giving it to a selection of our staff to try out. We'll let you know the results. And that's LANTEC's industry update for October 1994.
Hardly a week goes by without the announcement or release of a new personal computer. We all know that they're going to get faster, and we know that they're going to pack more power into a smaller space. But given that, they're all going to look pretty much the same. That is until Compaq released their new range of rack-mounted server products. But the differences are not only cosmetic. Many people look upon this as a very necessary step in the evolution of the personal computer. We're delighted to welcome back to Video Interface Steve Kulka, who is Senior Systems Consultant at Compaq. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks for asking me back.
I'm very pleased that you brought some video pictures with you, because the new rack-mounted systems are getting a bit too big to bring into television studios, aren't they?
That's right, yes. You may remember last time I actually brought a server in and we just put it up on the table. That was a relatively easy process. But this time they are a bit big to carry around from event to event. As you probably see from this video, they're taller than most of us. And once they're actually chock full of components, they're actually quite heavy too.
Now clearly there has to be a cost differential of a rack-mounted ProLine server system and a series of boxes standing on the floor. Yeah. So what are the benefits of putting the whole thing into a rack?
Well, numerous benefits. What we at Compaq have done is put together a rack which will hold the popular server products that we've had for some time, because people are now finding that they have far more uses for them than they've ever had before, and are finding that they're cropping up in all sorts of applications and really taking over all the available floor space. So the most obvious advantage is to saving on floor space, to stack them high, as it were.
But clearly, if you're going to put them into a smaller space, you're going to concentrate the cabling and all this sort of thing. Doesn't it bring its own problems?
Well, that actually does give you advantages. Concentrating the cabling and everything else into one place really makes the whole thing much easier to install, service, maintain, and from a safety aspect, it means you've got everything in one place all together at the same time.
Right. I know that some of our salespeople have been looking at these things and worrying a bit, because they look ever so much more complex to configure and so forth than a standalone ProLine server ever was. So are you addressing that in some way?
Yes, we have looked at this, and it's right. Yeah, it's a good observation that these are actually becoming far more complex to configure and put together. And we've put in place several techniques for making sure that everything is organised and specified correctly from the very start. The first thing we do is we now have some software called Rack Builder software, which you can run on a Windows PC. You just specify the specification for the type of server or combination of server components that you actually want, and Rack Builder will actually assemble the rack. It's like a virtual engineer putting the whole thing together for you.
I like the phrase virtual engineer. What about maintenance and that sort of thing? Is this made? You must have addressed this subject, surely.
That's right. Well, as you can probably see from this footage here, it's very easy to drag the drawers out for the components you actually want. You can get easy access to all the components inside just by sliding the drawer out, lifting the lid off, and everything right down to the power supplies in the base of each of the units is instantly available. And if you look from the back of the unit, you'll see my earlier statement about it actually being easier to look after because everything's all brought together in one place.
Right.
All the cables are handled in a cable management system, which allows you to move the drawers in and out without snagging the cable and causing damage to cables, which would then have to be replaced.
Yes, that's certainly a very neat way of solving that problem. Are the ProLine servers that are now released as rack-mounted versions, are they the same specification as the ProLine servers that we're already used to?
Oh, that's right, yes. All the servers that you may have been used to in the ProLine range are now available in the rack form, but we use the opportunity for launching the rack to also enhance those servers with new, faster Pentium processors, generally a few extra bits and pieces that technology has allowed us to bring along, as well as enhancing the way that software is installed using the now very popular Smart Start installation procedure.
Yes, I want to come back to Smart Start in a minute because I think that's an interesting question. But it occurs to me as we speak, why not use any old 19-inch rack? I mean, it is an industry standard. Why is the Compaq rack special?
Right, okay, well, it's an interesting point. Having a 19-inch rack as a way of just stacking up these components is a very good idea, and as you know, it's very popular in lots of serious computer installations. And I think the real problem started to stem from the sheer mass of these components. When you install them in some of the 19-inch rack forms that are generally available on the marketplace, you found that having all that weight maybe just suspended off the front panel really wasn't very safe. So we found it necessary to be very specific about the design of the rack, for one thing. So we want it to be safe, we want it to be easily maintainable, we want it to be able to bring all the cables together in the cable management system. And it must be secure and easy to manage. And that really left us with one choice, provided we could do it at a reasonable price, and that is to build a purpose-built rack that would actually offer all those features and facilities at a reasonable price.
You said just now we wanted it to be secure. Security has been important to you. I noticed they all have little locks and so on.
Yes, the whole rack is lockable to stop people getting into it and moving things around without permission. There's normally too much bad intention involved, but people do move things around. It's a byproduct of having products which are very easy to maintain. If you have fault tolerance set up on the disk drives, as you know, all these drives are hot pluggable drives. You can probably see from the video how you just unclip these drives and remove them and replace them on the fly. And some people have said that maybe they don't want that happening without them knowing about it.
Right, yes, that's a good point. Let's return to Smart Start. This is an easy way for a configuration engineer or systems engineer to set up a server in the first place. For those people who may have never bought a Compaq server, just run us through what that does, would you?
Okay, well, it's very easy right from the start. When you buy any form of serious Compaq server, you will get in the box with it a Smart Start pack. This is designed to enable the installation of the operating system from scratch very, very easily by having the operating systems come on a CD in the pack. So the operating systems that you would normally use by choice, such as NetWare, NT, SCO Unix, OS2, they're all pre-installed on these disks, and all you need to do is to, having configured the server, just switch on the server with the appropriate CDs in the drive, and the whole installation of the operating system is taken over and virtually completely automatic. There's a few questions it needs to ask when it first starts up as to how your emphasis is on how the thing should be configured, but you can have a Novell NetWare solution up and running in about 30-40 minutes.
Really? Yes.
And fully optimized too.
Right, a good point. A question I've got to put to you is that these racks of yours are beginning to look more and more like mini computers and bits of mainframes every day. Is there a hint in here somewhere of the direction that Compaq is heading?
There may very well be.
Is this an announcement, Steve?
Absolutely not at this stage.
I see.
The future is obviously well defined. I mean, anybody who's been following the development of PC servers, even over the past 5 or 6 years, since PC networking has really become a serious proposition, will have noticed that the products themselves have become much more dedicated, much more purpose-built to act as either a file and print server or more recently an application server. And we find that the people who are buying these products are really now starting to take to it very well. They can see the price performance benefits, they can see they've got all the security they need, the fault tolerance they need, and the price advantage of this configuration is now leading lots of people to see that they could really achieve enormous price benefits in using these products when they're configured and used correctly, which means that people are now using these machines in very much more career critical installations than they ever have done before, which means that there is a case for taking your office server out from under your desk and locking it away somewhere secure. And if you're going to be doing that, and there's going to be lots of them, then the whole philosophy of putting them all into a rack where you can lock them away, maybe even in the same room as most of the other racked components, starts to make a lot more sense.
You say taking the server out from under the desk. There is in fact a smaller version of the rack which could be used beside a desk or where you haven't got a computer room or somewhere to put a rack.
Certainly easy to put it in the corner of an office environment, that's no problem. These machines, these servers are traditional PCs in every sense. They only require a normal office environment. It's generally considered that if the office is comfortable enough for you, then it's comfortable enough for these devices. The only problem comes is when you start packing lots of this equipment in a very small space, like you do with a rack, then the reverse almost becomes the case. You get lots of heat generating equipment in a very small space, and it may actually warm up the office environment too much. So that's when you should start thinking about putting into a proper controlled environment.
Right, yes, that's a good point. I'm going to pin you down on cost, though. We've established that there is a price differential for putting these units into a rack. How much? What is the difference between, say, a couple of ProLiant servers on the floor and two in a rack?
Right, it's very variable. I can give you some extremes and then give you a sort of actual example in the middle. What we're finding in now that they are actually available and people are starting to move to them very quickly is that at the sort of top end on a full-size rack, fully equipped with all active components, you can find that you can almost lose the cost of the rack in the total bill for the equipment. But at the other end, of course, if you buy a full height rack, say, and just put one small server in there with the intention of expanding that as your needs go up, then you'll probably find that it will increase the initial cost of that equipment by about 10%.
Right.
So if you had something, I don't know, maybe like a ProLiant 2000 with a single Pentium processor, maybe 32 megabytes of memory and a few gigabytes of disk storage, we're talking about maybe around the £10,000 price bracket for a floor standing unit and around about 11,000 for a racked version. So you can see there that the cost of the rack adds about 10%. But what you should also remember is that in the cost of the racking premium, if you like, is also the siting and assembly costs are all built into that.
Right, that's a good point. And there's one final question that I must ask you, because if I don't, I'm going to get all the reply paid cards back saying, why didn't you ask him? Are these available? And are they shipping?
Yes, they save the clincher to the end. That's
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, they are available, and all the options are freely available now. People have lots of orders in for these, I'm pleased to say, so they are proving to be, I was going to say just as popular, but probably more popular than the floor standing racks for certain types of applications.
Steve Corker, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks very much.
And that's LANTEC's Video Interface Edition 12. In the next edition, we talk with Mitch Medford of IBM Boca Raton about Netfinity. We'll be bringing you our annual look at Microsoft products for the home and a Christmas treat. We'll be speaking with Professor Robert Spence, who is Professor of Information Engineering of London's Imperial College of Science and Technology. Professor Spence is a world-class theorist regarding computing futures, and his visions of the ways we will interact with the artificially intelligent machines of tomorrow is required viewing for anybody working in the field of IT. Also, as those of you who have now been watching us for 2 years will know, we let our hair down a bit at Christmas, and we'll be bringing you our annual selection of the best outtakes from Video Interfaces year. See David Godwin as you've never seen him before. Don't miss it. That's edition 12. Bye for now.